Harriet Maloba. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are back in the kitchen, and today we are going to do some burgers, beef burger, but we are going to start from the bun. So what do we need? We have our 300 grams of flour. We are just making a few. You need a teaspoon of yeast, and you need some bit of salt and then sugar as food for just a pinch. Then some sugar, as food for the yeast to grow. Then we are going to use margarine. We are going to use eggs. That is just for adding value, but you can make it without the eggs. And we are going also to use milk, but you can also milk is also optional. You can use just warm water without milk. So you make sure you mix. Yeast, we are using instant yeast, so we just mix. Then we will rub the margarine in. Just 10 grams of margarine. So we rub in the margarine. So we can break in the eggs. Remember, I said you break separately. You don't need to beat because you're just mixing. We break separately so that if there's a bad egg, it does not spoil the other bits of the ingredients. So we are adding value with 2 eggs. We are going to put our warm milk. I have 2 cups of warm milk. So if it doesn't form a dough, you can now add warm water. So once you have your warm milk, now you can form a dough with warm water. Just warm. Remember, yeast doesn't need a lot of heat. You subject it to a lot of heat, it dies. So we put it on a flat surface and knead nicely. Don't make your dough wet. Just make sure the liquid is just enough for kneading. Until it is soft enough. Then we will put it on the side to proof. So once it's ready, you have kneaded enough, put it in a bowl, cover it with a cloth and put it on the side to double its size. So as we wait for it to double its size, we are going to make our beef. We need to marinate it. We need to marinate it and leave it on the side for some time to absorb the marination. So what do we need for our beef? We need 500 grams of beef, 1 egg for binding, a half a cup of breadcrumbs. We need some onion, but we have grated the onion, and then we have also grated the garlic so that we add some flavor. And you can use any type of spice that you want, some oil and some salt. So you have your minced meat ready. So you add in the onion, then add in the garlic, we add in a half a teaspoon of black pepper, so that you don't make it very hot. We need salt. We need a half a cup of breadcrumbs. We need ginger powder. I mean garlic powder, just a half a spoon. Just some few drops kidogo of oil. And an egg. So the binding agent is the egg and the breadcrumbs to hold the mixture together. So mix. Then we add in the egg. Mix all of them until they mix well. Then you leave it to stand on the side for 1 hour. You can leave it in the fridge side after you, not the freezer, the fridge. After you have covered it well, leave it to stand there so that it can swallow the marinade. Yeah, the texture is okay. So we put it inside the fridge to marinate. Then we go back to our burger bun and see how far. Our dough has already doubled its size. You knock it back. Then now we cut the balls. We make round balls. So we shape, then we leave them to raise again before we put in the oven. You make sure your tin is greased. You just brush with margarine. Just leave some space in the middle for raising, because they will again raise. So we have to leave them, cover them again, so that they can put them in a warm space. But if you are in warm areas, just cover and leave them on the side so that they can double the space. So meanwhile, we go now and get into the meat. At the same time, remember we are going to bake the buns, so we have to switch on the oven 180 degrees. So we are going to shape so we first shape round. So once you have a round shape, you flatten. Make them flat, because when you put them in the oil, they'll tend to shrink and become again a bit fatter. So if you can be able to make them to at least below a half an inch thick, that will be okay. So that they can be able to cook and at the same time maintain the shape. buns have raised, we'll just sprinkle some little flour on top to help in to prevent it from hardening the crust, so that they can remain a bit softer. But once they are ready from the oven, we will just dust the flour off. So we put in the oven for 20 minutes. Remember, I said if you have only one tin or one sheet for your oven, then you place it in the middle. So we leave them to raise for 15 minutes. We leave our meat so that we time when the bun is almost out. That's when now we'll be doing the beef, because we want to assemble with a hot beef, not cold. So at the same time, we prepare our filling for assembling the burgers. We are going to have a variety. There are those who don't love onions, so we will put in a few. We'll have halved slices of tomatoes that we are going to put in the pan, remove them before we assemble. And of course, we have slices of cheddar cheese, and we also have lettuce. So there are those who don't like lettuce, so we'll skip those ones, but we will assemble different filling so that at least each person will get what they want. You can use anything. And again, the bread, remember, we are going to apply some mayo so that we seal in the bread for assembling, and also add some flavor. Then the sauces, we have different. We have those people who love mustard. We have those people who love the choma sauce. We have those people who love tomato ketchup, and those who just love mayonnaise. So we will have different sauces. People will just pick for themselves, but I will assemble one with this sauce and the mayo. So once you put the buns in the oven, now we can begin to cook our meat, and we are going to cook with slow heat. We are very not too much fat, not little fat. Okay, so we'll put our meat slow heat so that it can cook well. So we squeeze it further because it tends to shrink back and becomes thick. So just squeeze it before we turn it. Make sure it's flat evenly. The egg is what is making the oil make some foam. But if you are not interested in putting the egg, even the breadcrumbs can still bind it. But at least an egg really helps. So you make sure it cooks slowly so that it can cook inside. Yeah, you can see they are not very thick, so they will cook inside. And you are not putting a lot of heat, because a lot of heat will make them burn outside and not cook inside. You don't want them very dry because you want them to be juicy. So not very dry, but cooked. You can see they are not very fat. These are few of the snacks that you can just do at home for your children. And at least you will know what kind of food they're eating. And even when you make them at home, you have space to add the ingredients that you know has some value into their nutrition. You know, when it's out there for business, we try to maximize the production cost so that we can make a bit of the profit. But when you are doing in your house, at least you don't need to reduce some of the ingredients that you know are going to help your people. So let them cook slowly, keep turning, keep checking. Then when they are ready, we will assemble. So our buns are ready just from the oven. So to give them a nice finish, you make sure you brush them with margarine while they're still hot. To give them a shiny finish. Then we can remove them and put them on the plate to cool a bit before we assemble. Before we assemble our bag. Our meat is also ready. So we are going to put back our pan so that we can at least do the tomatoes briefly. I want us to put some thyme, not very hot, just slightly heated up pan. And just do If you are not willing to use herbed or spiced tomatoes, then you just use them like that. Don't leave them for long, just turn them and remove. Or alternatively, you can put on a sheet and put in the oven. So once the buns have cooled, you slice them in the middle, and then we want to toast them a bit. We'll put some bit of margarine. Then you allow them to seal in a bit and improve. Have some crusty. So once you have that, our tomatoes are ready, and we are going to assemble on this board here. So you can see our bread. We assemble the beef. We have some bit of lettuce that we would wish to put. And then we have cheese. The other one doesn't want lettuce, so we will put there. So we are going to put them back in the oven briefly for the cheese to melt a bit. So we will assemble our tomatoes that we have put up. So we put it as a single. That one will be a single burger. If we want a double, then we will put, once we have that, we have put the tomatoes, then we put again another beef on top. Then we put some slices of onions, some rings. These are onion rings that we have put in the vinegar to remove the aftertaste. And once you have put like that, then you put on top the other bit. Now that one becomes a double burger. So we will put them in the oven briefly so that the cheese can be able to melt. For those who don't mind melted cheese, there are those people who don't want cheese at all. So if you have such people, then don't put the cheese at all. Just use the beef and whatever vegetables. You can also have some cucumber for as long as you put in the vinegar so that they can remove the aftertaste. And then you present your burgers to your people. So I want to put these two in the oven so that they can be able to melt the cheese just briefly, because there are those who don't mind. So we'll put them back on the tin. So once they are ready, you can see how the cheese is looking like. Then now we can have a bit of the sauce. And this double cheese is going to have both the choma and the ketchup. So there, our burgers are ready. If you have children who are a bit younger, or you have people who really are not going to finish the whole of this thing, you can cut in the middle with a knife. You can simply cut with a knife and allow them to eat in bits. So I've decided to serve with a bit of the chips so that the people who are eating can be able to snack. It's not actually food, it's just for snacking. Thank you so much for watching my content. I don't take it for granted. Thank you for pressing that button. For the new subscribers, kindly subscribe. For the new people seeing the videos, my videos for the first time, kindly subscribe, like, share, support me in just watching and sharing my content. For the old subscribers, I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for coming back to my content. Thank you so much for watching. I hope we are all learning one or two things as we enjoy our kitchens and our work. Thank you. May the Lord bless you.